Hey everyone, welcome to my quick summary build, just highlighting the key points of the build of my Bandai Star Wars Star Destroyer 1/5000 scale. It's kind of a really iconic ship. I really tried to model this after the version of the Star Destroyer that we did see in A New Hope, and that's Darth Vader's Star Destroyer called the Devastator, and that's kind of, I did make a couple of sort of modifications to try to make it look as much like that as I could, and we actually, this particular model does give us the Blockade Runner and a Millennium Falcon, both from that episode 4, and sort of that opening scene where the Blockade Runner is brought on board. Right, shade of gray that we want for the Blockade Runner, and you can kind of compare it against the gray, the sort of gull gray that we have for the Millennium Falcon. It's kind of a darker version of the gull gray that we have on the Star Destroyer itself. So slightly darker version, but very, very similar. And you can see the real difference there, hopefully. It's right on this second one in. It's like a little panel, just like there's that little red strip that I've got there that you can barely see. There's a little block here of gray, like that. Yeah, that's it. Here, that's the 6 little dots there. I'm going to go over top of my thrusters there, but just on the very back section here. Grab a little bit there and just pull it across. Kind of like these back sections had a little bit of a sooty thing going on. There is that one panel there too that you can see here, just on the main parts of these engines. Just highlight back to their original color here. Our Falcon, just a little bit of too dark here. So you can see the both of them. But there is a fair bit of detail here, and you'll notice one of the key things is the panel work here. I did spend a fair bit of time on the panels, and that was achieved in a couple of ways. One, there is a base primer here that's kind of a fairly dark gray, and that forms the basis for a lot of these the darker gray panels that you'll see here. Hey guys, so as I think I mentioned, I'm just going to lay down some of my tape and make my little mask. That was just achieved through laying down the primer, putting some tape down in the shapes of these, and then laying down the base coat and then taking those off to reveal them. My base coat is my version, a Tamiya version of the Gull Gray. You can see though that there is a lot of sort of weathering that have been added, and so I augmented both the panels and the base coat with a fair bit of pastel work. We'll see, just there's a bunch of little things that stick up there. They're not very perceptible, but if we just bring in a little bit of chalk, you can see them already starting to kind of just starting to pop out there just a little bit. So you can really notice the difference as we're starting to build this out. It definitely, pieces kind of starting to appear, and kind of that we wanted to see here. Okay, I'm just going to do the same kind of thing in this area here. There's a few kind of panels and areas that I wanted to highlight here as well. It looks awesome. So you can even just see the difference. There's some patterns here and the same patterns on this side, and really see that there's a definite difference there between the two. These guys, you can see the little pieces, the relief there. So you can compare, that's top now getting, has had a pretty good treatment and looking great. And then the bottom, which has not, which is, has not a lot of, it looks good too, but just doesn't have any of that, any of those effects yet in place. So something we're definitely going to want to do here now. All right, so then this guy, we're going to do the same kind of process here. So we're going to be adding a few panels. So let's do that. First, I'd already added, if you recall, this one and this one have already been added there. So I'm just going to carry on and add a couple more here. Right like that. And use our gray, kind of a much fairly lighter shade than our primer, like that. It's a pretty good effect. I think I'm really happy with how that all worked out and the way that it looks. The only other paint that I used other than that Gull Gray, that light Gull Gray, was a slightly modified version of it, just whitened down just a little bit in this hangar bay. Just to give it a little bit more pop, again, to reflect that opening scene in episode 4. And then on the rear thrusters, 2 pieces here where I both painted the insides of the thruster cones with just a metallic silver. So I just have made a small adjustment, a little bit of painting here today. I decided I wanted to adjust the hangar bay, the main hangar bay, just slightly. I wanted to make it a little bit lighter color. I've been watching the footage quite a lot, and it does seem that to me that it's just a shade lighter. And in any case, even if it's not, just the lighting in the movie certainly makes it look like it's a little bit lighter than the shade of the outside hull. So I did go just slightly, very slightly. It's just got 25%. XF2, so it's already largely XF2, and then with that bit of gray, and then I just took the 25% ratio to be able to do that. And then of course I've got my engines have been done, they turned out great. So you can see, still have the, it's got the gray around, and then in the actual engine cone itself, I have the silver there. It's very, very reflective. Not sure how well you're able to see that actually. Let me just zoom in there a bit. So those will work out really nice. They give a nice, when the lights are on, those really reflect that light pretty nicely. So really looking forward to what that's going to look like. A little better when the thrusters are on, just again to give us sort of an accurate shine that we did see. And then and then the lights themselves have a little bit of a transparent blue on them, just to capture just that tinge of blue. They're not white, and they're not even a very just a really cold white. They actually are just a little bit blue, and so that's what I've done there as well. Actually, I'm just going to unclamp him while I'm doing this part. Okay. There. So let me just get my little clamp here. Just to make sure he's not going to be touching this time. Good. So those guys are all set there. Let's have one more look here. They all had kind of identical treatment, so we should have really identical colors and results. And they're, just from looking here, they do look really identical. So that is all of the custom. That's it for the painting. So not a terribly complicated amount of paints to be mixing at all. But a fair bit of pastel work. That's certainly something I enjoyed, and really, I think, to good effect. Really love how it turned out and how it looks. I think it kind of has a lot of consistency with the actual model, or at least the pictures I've seen of it. That's did try to get some of that captured there. In terms of the lighting itself, this model does come with a Bandai sort of harness that you can buy, and it's an add-on, and there is a nice slot in there, and there's space for wiring. I didn't use their module. I did just get basic set some LEDs that would be able to fit into the spots for those, and then I just augmented that with several SMDs of my own to just add extra light. Really just on the hangars, really. I did add a set of three custom SMDs in this lower hangar, one for the little shuttle bay that you'll see here, again to reflect what we saw in episode 4, and then also a couple of extras just to give some extra light coming down off of the ceiling and kind of extra illumination. Yeah, so there's with the lights out, and obviously that's going to have the engine in there, so you can see even just with those three lights, it's looking pretty awesome. It's really love that. And it's great, as you'll maybe see in some of the pictures, when this is on and the lights are turned on, it can actually illuminate the Blockade Runner and the Millennium Falcon right below it in the dark. So it's really a neat look to be able to have it do that. So the one of the things that I had to do then was to build my own custom battery pack. I did do that, and it's nicely mounted in there and should be good for about 13 hours. I've been running this set and taking a lot of pictures and videos and so forth with it, and still looking great. Hook these up in series so that we'll get a total of 12 volts, which is what I've been kind of using. That's all my different LEDs are all resistored up for that. Carefully, very carefully align and put together, and oh yeah, that's ooh, that is a solid connection. Good. One of the other sort of custom features I've got with that is that I did install a remote switch, so that I don't have to have a switch anywhere on the outside. In this particular one, I just didn't want that. There was not really a great spot on this one to kind of have it under or something that you'll never see. This ship has a viewing kind of all over, especially as you're kind of wanting to look under it to see the Blockade Runner and the Falcon when it's kind of sitting down on it. And so anyway, I did add a remote, and it lets me just be able to turn those lights on and off, just pointing it at the vessel instead. And so really the only time I ever need to go into it would be to replace the batteries. I am, as I also mentioned, going to be hooking up this remote as well inside. So this also is a little vampiric. It will run a very small 0.48 or 0.5 milliamps, so not even half of a milliamp here. But over time, of course, that as well will eat up a little bit. But even at that, with this battery pack, even with this running all the time in the background, this would be good for about 2.5 years. To just test this with just my test light, make sure still everything is working. Remote, and yep, lovely. So as I say, the remote just works here. Then you just kind of point. I have it kind of right below this spot on where there's actually by design a little opening there. I'm just going to turn the lights off there now that I've turned it on, and we'll have a quick look here. Yeah, so you can see, or hopefully see here, that that the lights look awesome. It's one of the I think everybody that's got the model and has seen it can attest that it really is neat to see, and it looks just awesome. Just to see it and all lit up. You'll notice one of the things you might notice on mine, as I'm sort of kind of demonstrating it here, is that it doesn't have any LED flash, or at least very little. It's one of the things that often comes up on this model. People do comment on, and it's true that by default, because of the way that it's designed, and this is natural, the LEDs are exposed, and as you kind of swivel your view, sometimes they come into direct view in the little windows, and so you get little hotspots. They kind of flash and flare and that kind of thing. And so hopefully, maybe you might be noticing that I don't get a lot of that. There isn't a lot of flashing and flaring going on here. It's really consistent look all the way around. That is something that I did put in some custom or baffles to essentially diffuse the light within, using a kind of embarrassingly simple method, just using some bubble wrap, actually, of all things. I know you can, and that's not just, that's a fairly standard diffusion technique, I guess. Certainly one that I've heard of. I know foams and other things can be used as well. But for me, the bubble wrap, I had it handy and seemed to work really, really well for me. The other thing you might notice is there's a number of different colored lights on here. Quite a few red ones. I'm not sure if you're probably seeing some of them there, even up in the command, the bridge section there. You'll notice as well there's even a slightly green colored one up there, just a teeny bit of variety. Just very, 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 very little of this. One of the tricks is just being able to pour out a little drop. Terrific is starting to spin it as it's kind of making the drop, just like that, so that you can kind of capture it and get it back in. And And that one. Okay, so let's just have a look at how we're doing here. So it'll take a little bit. Doesn't dry immediately, and so let me just turn off the lights here. I can't remember where I did the red ones. Let's see what oh, there's one. So you can see it there. This is very, very subtle. I don't know. You probably can't even see it at all. Zoom in there a little. Right there. Yeah, so you can see there the bottom hangar now with it fully illuminated, and I think it looks great. I'm really, really happy with how that came out. And just the fact that, you know, it's enough light to be able to even see the little grappling hook there, and combined effect is just great. The other SMD that I did add was actually in the rear hangar. I did add a custom, just a little SMD there as well, and that was just to give it a little extra pop. The default lighting, it's a little bit dim, and I just really wanted that to look bright, even when you had the glare of the thruster engines to compete against. You can always still see that, which I really like. Looks really good. I'm super happy with that. A lot brighter than what we get. And don't forget, we'll actually get even a little additional light here once it's coming through from the original source here too. One other thing you might notice while we're back here is that I did spend a fair bit of time after kind of 4 iterations of these little thruster fins. They don't come with the model, but they're certainly part of the Devastator. And so I really did want to have them there. They're, you know, very evident and obvious gap. And so I did get out my polystyrene little stock materials and just built them and honed them down. Kept trying different template versions to finally come up with the right size by comparing against some of the still photos that we have of the rear of that vessel. So I'm back to going to be reinstalling my the new and improved little thruster baffle pieces here. That looks really, really good. And so now it's the right dimension, because if you actually look on New Hope there, it's, you know, they're a little bit smaller. They're not as big as what I'd originally had. Certainly not the first version or the second version. This one is, as far as I can tell, dimensionally kind of getting us the right place here, I think. The only thing is it should come out just a little bit more. There. And making sure that proportionately they're accurate. And so I'm really happy with how those turned out. I just feel it adds that extra little bit of realism. I hope that you enjoyed the video and enjoyed the build as much as I did doing it. I also enjoy making the video, so you kind of get hopefully enjoy just the production as well. If you did kind of like this build and really want to kind of support what I'm doing, for sure, I'd love for you to leave comments below, like it, and even subscribe if you want to see as videos come out. You'll be notified if you do that. Anyway, thanks so much.